What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a react to this video right here. It's called Mapping Language Supremacists. And this one's actually from Nadi, which is a YouTuber who I've done a podcast with before. He interviewed me as part of one of his podcasts and we spoke about conlangs. It's actually a pretty good one, except for the fact that we had some audio issues and stuff during it. But anyway, I saw this video about 2 months ago. I wanted to do a react. Something else happened at the time and I just kind of put it to the side. And the reason being is because if you look right there, you kind of you squint your eyes, you get really deep into it type of thing, maybe get right up to the pixels, you'll see the word Esperanto, which means this is a call out. Evildea has to react. Anyone mentions Esperanto ever, and I have to react. Okay, now before we get into watching this video, I need to share with you guys some absolutely disappointing news that really ruined my day today. And it all started yesterday. See, yesterday, my wife randomly came up to me and she said, "Hey, tomorrow I'm busy. I'm seeing an old friend from primary school." Yeah, I know, that's kind of crazy. They just happen to be in Sydney. But yeah, can you take my mum, my mother-in-law, because it's my mother-in-law, can you take her to the hospital and speak with the doctor, because we're going to do this, they've done a bone density check or something and he needs to read her the results. But she doesn't speak English. Could you, do that and maybe, help her understand? And I was like, I got this. This is my first moment ever. I've actually truly needed to use Chinese for everything. For everything in, a specific scenario. And I was like, this is perfect opportunity. So yesterday I sat down, at nighttime when I was by myself. I started studying how to say things like bone density checks, reports, and everything I could think of regarding bone density, so that today, when I would go down to the hospital, I would sit down and be her interpreter. I could blow the doctor away. He would be like, "Who the fuck is this? What the hell? Look, she's got a full-on white interpreter." This would have been friggin' amazing. I was so excited for it. And there's a reason why I said this would have been so friggin' amazing. Because, I spent a good hour studying all this stuff. I was ready to go. I would have put on a fucking business suit for this shit, okay? And then this morning I come up to my wife and I'm like, yeah, I'll take her now. And she's like, "Oh, no, you don't need to anymore." I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean I don't need to anymore?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, no, the doctor's not in today. He'll be in tomorrow, so I'll just take him because I got to go see the same doctor for something else." And I'm like, "You sure? You sure this is not, urgent? Maybe we should go check now, And she's like, no, don't worry about it. It's a bone density report. It can wait one day." And I'm like, "I'm heading in that direction anyway." And I wasn't actually. And she's like, "Why are you so excited to go see the doctors? Haven't you been there enough recently?" I was like, "I just wanted to practice my Chinese." Anyway, I figured I'd share that with you guys because it's kind of random. Anyway, let's watch this.
Hi guys, this is just a silly video about mapping out the conceptual territory of language supremacists. And basically I'm just defining this as anybody who believes that some language, whether it's their own, whether it's somebody else's, is the best language.
Okay, before we get started, down in the comments section, let's start a war. Which is the best language ever? Yep, we all know it's Esperanto. I know that's going to be the majority of comments, but let's just start a war for no goddamn reason.
Obviously, best is subjective here, but in this case, I'm just kind of going off of whatever
Clearly, this is not subjective, this is objective, and the fact that Esperanto is the best language ever.
Their definition of best is. So if you believe that a language is the best because of some feature or something, then you're going to end up somewhere on this map because your definition of best is also going to be kind of represented in this conceptual territory.
I love how this is called Language Supremacists, and then it's just got some nice classical music going in the background.
This is just supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be taken too seriously, but I thought it might be nice to have a little bit more of a nuanced, I guess, visual for these stereotypical language nationalists or whatever. So I organized the map into two axes. So one is from low effort to high effort, and this is more effort into their rationalization or their thought process.
Okay, so he's basically put this onto the Cartesian plane and it's all normalized.
So people on the low effort side are just they're not really thinking about it that much. They maybe don't even really care that much. And then the high effort is it's really important to them. And then on the other axis, it's self-serving. So how much your belief in your language's supremacy is just trying to make yourself feel good. And then all the way to the other one, which is idealist, which is it's almost altruistic. You believe that some language is good for everybody, good for the world. So we'll start off in the bottom right here, which is just the simplest one, and it's me language good. So it's just kind of a default, I was born in this place, so therefore this place is good. I was born speaking this language, therefore this language is good. It's not really something you think about. It's just for people like this, you're not even going to encounter them that much or really see them in your online comments or anything that much, because they just don't really care that much. It's just kind of something they take for granted, is that their language is the best language. It's just kind of something they just think because it's their default explanation for languages. Everybody.
Okay, so of all the people that I've seen and, I've met over time and stuff, if I was to throw anyone in that category, there's definitely a fair few English speakers who I've seen make this type of comment, like, clearly English is the best language, otherwise why would it be the international language? They don't think that, these things are quite random in how they happen. So I've seen English speakers there. I've never seen a Chinese person claim that their language is the best. Never. What else? I'm not going to talk about conlangs, because I can see he's got a conlang section up there, so we'll get to that a little bit later. I have seen some speakers of Arabic claim that theirs is the best language, but at the same time, they try to not encourage people to learn it, because it's also the hardest language, which also seems to be another thing. Some people claim that their language is the best language, but at the same time is the hardest language, and that also somehow makes it the best language.
You probably know somebody like outside of linguistics that maybe thinks like this, but who's not really going to argue with you about it. Like if you go up to them and you say like, hey, explain why your language is the best, and they're just gonna be like, no, I don't really, it's just the best. But gradually, as people like do care more about things, you can kind of see this dashed line going up all the way up to the language fascists, and I didn't really know what to call these people, but this is just like anybody who believes that their like ethnic group or something is the best, and therefore that's why their language is the best, because we have the best culture, we have the best blah blah blah, we have the best whatever. Obviously we're gonna also have the best language because it's kind of like a product of our superior culture or civilization. So a lot of people.
Do I know anyone who would be a language fascist? Like, have I ever met that? I don't think I have, realistically. I've met people who just assume that their language is the best, but they're not going to, like, fight you to the death over it type of thing. Yeah, I don't think I know anyone that fit in that category.
People, again, might think this about the place that they're from, and but in this case, it's not just like a default, like, they're not going to argue with you about it thing. It's like they actually will, like, they've thought about this, they have this whole narrative in their head. And this is in the top right here is more focused on people who believe that the language that they speak is the best language. So it's entirely self-serving. It's my language is the best language because my culture is the best culture. And so you can see it actually overlaps with what I'm calling old heads. So this is just people who are into ancient languages, which not inherently bad, but in this case they.
Actually, this confuses me a bit. Why would language fascist be at high effort? But it's on the self-serving side. So did they have to learn this language at all? Because if they had to learn it, I could understand it being high effort. But if they didn't have to learn it, and it's just like inherently they speak that language, and for whatever reason they just believe it's the best language, then why would it be in the high effort category? So I'm actually a little bit confused about that.
They believe that one ancient language, or maybe a group of ancient languages is the best language. So, and then where this kind of overlaps with language fascists is obvious, historically with people like who have like these Ariosophy ideologies, where like the Proto-Indo-European speakers were like the best humans ever, and the pure race or something,
Okay, so this might be just a catch-all for some like racist group that I'm not aware of.
Therefore, of course, they had the best language, and everything now is kind of like a deprecated version of that. So they believe that they're.
The only thing I can think of, and like I don't even know if this is something that's really ever happened. Like maybe you guys over in Europe or America, you can talk to this, but like I've seen like random clips on YouTube where someone will be like, if English was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. Something just stupid like that. But like I don't even know if those clips are real.
Language is probably good because it's descended from that, but it's not necessarily as self-serving as just believing your own language is the best, because it's like believing that some like ancient version of your language is the best. And then just going into.
Actually, I wouldn't call them language fascists, but I do remember at the language festival that there was a specific person who overall was a nice person. They would come to the language festival, and I'm purposely not going to use pronouns just so that no one knows at all who I'm talking about is. I'll just say them. So them or this person, okay. They would always speak about Tamil as if it is the most ancient language, and therefore it is the root of all languages and is the best language. So, but I don't think they were a language fascist, but at the same time, they were very sold on this idea that it is the oldest of all languages, and they even gave a presentation saying that.
The old heads in general, that's just people who believe that some ancient language, whether it's, the ancestor of their language or just some random language, is the best language. And this is kind of common because a lot of people don't like linguistic change. They believe that languages in the past were better or something. So an old head might be like obsessed with Latin or Sanskrit. There's tons of different versions of this, and it's basically just like back in the day, people were wiser. There's often like a religious motivation as well, and they spoke this language, so therefore this language is better. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody who studies old languages because the whole territory of this chart is only including people who believe that one language is better than all the others. If you're interested in ancient languages and you think they're really awesome, but you don't necessarily have this statement in your head about one being the best language ever, then you don't have to worry about this. I'm not talking about you.
Okay, so as someone who's interested in Latin myself, I guess for me, it's definitely not low effort. It would have to be dead in the middle then, because I'm not doing it for idealistic reasons. I'm not, maybe a little bit to the self-serving side, because like I'm just kind of, interested in that type of thing. But also it should be up towards the high effort. This graph is making less sense to me. Yeah.
Old heads, I have the lucky ducks, and this is just basically somebody who's, it's not really too much of an explanation, but it's a lot more of an explanation than me language good. And it's actually not that self-serving necessarily. It's, gee, I was just lucky to be born speaking the best language. It's like, it's not something inherent about me or like even necessarily my culture. It's just like, this language is just the best language, and just what do you know? Like I won the lottery. I was born in a country that speaks the best language. It's kind of similar to the like classic cocky American. Like I'm born in a country where it's like we have a really booming economy or something. So I'm just lucky. I'm just like I'm in the best place. And I have this kind of overlapping with the old heads because it's kind of like a survival of the fittest thing. Sometimes so it's like like my language has developed throughout time to become better and better, and that's why I speak it. It's just a coincidence of like how effective this language is.
So shouldn't this all then be more down towards the low effort side? Because you didn't have to put any effort into this, and it's a very low effort statement. Like, why is that up towards high effort?
English is the global lingua franca or something because it's such a good language, and so that's why I speak it. It's just like a coincidence like that. The point being, it's not something like inherent to me. It's just like that's the language. I'll get back to this central area, but I'm going to jump to the bottom left here. So this is another kind of extreme. This is low effort, but not self-serving. So this would be like somebody who's learning a different language. So, or actually at the very bottom, it's just him language good. It's just basically saying like, I don't know too much about linguistics. I don't really care that much about it, but I just think somebody else's language is good. Like somebody told me one time that Chinese is the best language or something. So that's the best language.
Okay, so the only case I would know of that is when I was in the military and I'd ask people which language should I learn, and people would be like, "Oh, you should learn French," and I'd be like, "Why?" And they'd be like, "Because it's like one of the best languages, of course." Like I do know people who actually said that type of stuff. Although some people said because I remember one old soldier, he was like, "It's because it's the language of the empire." And even at that time I was like, didn't that empire collapse a while ago? It's just some people, they're really far out of date.
I don't know too many people like this, but there's definitely people who like see other languages as like super exotic and just kind of like assume that they're better or something. And technically you could have somebody doing this with an old language as well. So the map's not perfect. It doesn't really overlap there, but it's just like somebody else, that language is good. I'm not gonna learn it. I'm too dumb. Not saying that.
Yeah, like that, for example, he was talking before about, placing Latin at the high effort end, but it was kind of in the middle. But I actually know some people who believe that Latin should be either the language of Europe or even just the international language due to it being the root of all, Romance languages and even big part of Germanic languages. And therefore, I would put that at the high effort, idealistic, top left corner.
They actually are too dumb. I'm just saying like that might be how they think of it. But then you can kind of think of how this might turn into somebody having actually more of an interest in the language and so being a new language learner. So like you just start studying a language and you'd think that language is the best. So it's like maybe that's the reason you're studying the language. Maybe you started studying the language, and then you just wanted to justify it by saying it's the best language. But it might be like I'm learning Japanese because I'm into anime or something, and gosh, it's such a cool language. It's the best language. And you don't really have too much of an explanation beyond that. It's just so different, and you like some of those features.
So where would we put someone on here who's learning Japanese due to, let's just say, economic reasons? I know there's not many like ones that would fit that category. Maybe, okay, let's say Chinese due to economic reasons, say someone out of Africa, where would they land? Well, obviously learning Chinese would be high effort. It's not really idealistic. It would be self-serving. So I guess it would be, Yeah, see, that doesn't make sense to me. It would be high effort, self-serving, top right-hand corner, right next to language fascists. Yeah, this graph is a bit of a mess, my man.
And so as you get more experienced in that language, you might have more and more of a justification. And so this language learning blob kind of bleeds into what I'm calling feature fanatics, which is just like somebody who thinks that it's some actual aspect of the language, is like grammar or morphology or something, is the reason it's the best. So I have this kind of bleeding into what I'm calling the auxlangs. So this is
okay. So now we're getting into my territory, right into the middle there.
Just constructed languages, which are people create the languages to make them better. So this is obviously not very self-serving because you're creating something. Or it's not self-serving to your own language. Maybe it's self-serving in like some other way, but you're creating a language because you think my language is not even good enough, so I have to make a new one.
You know what? We're gonna break this down a lot more because you can't just put auxlangs right there in the middle. It doesn't work like that. Let's do this. Okay, so I've just taken what he's a screenshot from this, and let's just say, so Esperanto, he's got like right here around the middle. Actually, let's just up that. Make that nice, fat, and thick. Okay, he's got Esperanto right there in the middle. No. Okay. Realistically, Esperanto, I would say it's not low effort. You still got to put effort in. I'd say Esperanto's over here. It's idealistic, 100%. And you got to put some effort into it, okay? Now, Toki Pona, I would say is... Now, Toki Pona is an interesting one, okay? So Toki Pona, I would say, starts down here. And for those who don't know these languages, okay, Esperanto was created as a international language to foster communication between peoples, okay? Now, Toki Pona is an experimental language that's basically designed to simplify thoughts as much as possible. Now, I say low effort, however, if you actually want to get good at the language, I would say it's actually somewhere like up here. It's even harder than Esperanto. So it could be anywhere depending on how seriously you want to treat it as a language. Very easy to get into, to start building out some basic sentences and stuff like that, but to get good at it, I would say it's on par or even harder than Esperanto. Okay, so what other ones we got? We got Volapük, which is like high effort. I wouldn't even say it's idealistic at this point because no one's... Okay, Volapük, for those who don't know, is like the the grandfather of Esperanto. It came before Esperanto, based on similar ideals, created totally differently. No one speaks it to this day, so it's going to be high effort, up here. However, you're either going to be so insanely idealistic that you learn it, because knowing that no one else speaks it anymore, that it becomes, at this point, self-serving. Like, you're just doing it out of, like, complete... like, just your own passion, okay, at this point. So Volapük is, like, over here, Volapük, or it's over here, okay? We've got, oh god, okay, Volapük, puke, yep, okay. So it's somewhere in between here. We got, like, the horseshoe theory of languages going on right now. Okay, what other ones we got? We got Klingon, So Klingon is an art language, so it's created for a TV show, okay? So that one is insane high effort. It ain't idealistic at all. There's nothing about idealism regarding that one. Again, that one would be... It's all about being self-serving. But then again, it could also be about, I'd just say it sits over here if we're going to put it anywhere on this graph. So let's go Klingon. What other languages we got off the top of our head? What other ones did he list in here? Nothing major. Okay, I think we've covered the main categories here. We've got some auxiliary languages. We've got an art lang. We've got some philosophical languages. What else we got? We got Lojban. Okay, Lojban is a language designed to basically push what humans are capable of saying. And it was actually designed to test the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, so it was designed to push that. It's basically to see, are we able to express things, like, does language actually mold our ability to express thoughts, okay? Super high effort. I would say that's idealistic. Over here, left-hand corner. So let's go Lojban, okay? But it's also for experimental reasons. So you can already see that this here should probably be changed from this. Like, if I was to do this, I would say, let's just blow this away. And I would go over here, self-serving. You know what? I wouldn't even do that. I'd go economic. People, This is one of the main reasons people learn languages, is economic, okay? What's the opposite of economic? It's idealistic reasons, okay? And then over here we might have, so we'd have high effort up here, low effort down here. Now, what else do we have in here? So apart from idealistic, would have, so okay, this is a hard one. Once you've got this axis going from low effort to high effort and then economic to idealistic, but also you've got people learn languages for cultural reasons, and you can't put it like that. Oh, actually, can we have cultural right there in the middle, and then it works like that? Because generally it would go that way. So let's try and map out my languages to figure out like where I stand on this. Okay, so for example, Esperanto. Why did I learn it? Idealistic reasons, I'm going to say, because I wanted to see if I could learn a simple language, so I'll put Esperanto over here. Toki Pona would be basically similar reason, okay? And the good thing is, Esperanto started as idealistic, as in I wanted to see a learn language, but I stuck for cultural reasons, okay? And it's never really got to economic. Now, Chinese, I learned that for family reasons, okay? So therefore, I would put Chinese under cultural. Chinese here would go under cultural. Now, potentially, there could be some benefits that go across to economic, but I've never really realized any of that, so I highly doubt that. There's no reason idealistically I would learn that, so I might push it a little bit over here, because you never know, I might get some idealistic benefit. Why did I put that in the low effort area? This should be way up here, actually. What the hell am I doing? Okay, so now, so we'll go a little bit like that, okay. What languages am I interested in? Okay, ooh, now we get into the fun ones. Okay, so Latin. Latin's a high effort one that I would do for cultural reasons. So Latin would go right here. There's absolutely no economic benefits to that, and I definitely wouldn't be doing it for idealistic reasons because it's just cultural high effort. Okay, what other ones we got? That would be exactly the same with Cornish. So we'd go Cornish. It would be the same with, God damn it, I'm just suddenly forgetting the name of the goddamn language. Why would I forget the name of the language? Come on, come back to me, otherwise I'm gonna look like a dick. Okay, I'll come back to it in a second. It'll randomly come back to me. At the same time, sign language. Okay, so sign language is actually a language I have considered. I would put it somewhere around here. Because yes, it's hard, mainly because like I've got fucking physical issues with one of my hands, but I'd also push it towards the economic as well as cultural section. So it would be like, God damn it, Cornish, why did you get your ass in the way? Even though that's not true, it's more upper north. I would say it's somewhere between here and here, because I could potentially use this one as an interpreter, but at the same time, I'd primarily be learning it for cultural reasons, which means that I should be actually pushing it more to the left. Like over here type of thing. Yeah, that looks right. Okay, so what was the other ones? I totally forgot the name of it. For some reason, it's just totally escaped me. So it's the American native language with its own script. How can I forget its name suddenly? Why? Okay, let's move on. Okay, what other languages I'm interested in? Oh, Japanese. Japanese is 100% cultural, okay? And it's also in the high effort category, so let's just go put Japanese over here. Other languages, Arabic would be high effort, probably economic though. I would put Arabic in the economic section because I did previously consider joining the federal police, and I also considered joining other agencies in Australia, and if Arabic is a language, you know, it can be of economic benefit. But also, I would probably be realistically actually using it for just cultural reasons. That would be the main reason. Or Spanish, of course. I'm studying Spanish right now. Well, I'm actually learning Spanish due to not idealistic, not cultural, not even economic. Oh no. I'm doing it to test a theory, so it's like experimental. I guess idealistic could experimental. Maybe there's a subcategory that I could just slot myself in here, but this really only experimental. This only really exists for me though. So there'd be like experimental in there, and then that's where I'd put Spanish. Yeah, then we could like put Spanish like that type of thing. But I get the feeling that once the experiment ends, it will basically stretch out from being in the experimental category, definitely 100% to the cultural category. So an interesting, why the fuck's nothing in the low effort region? I guess Toki Pona should be in the low effort, but realistically, if I want to get good at the language, I'd have to push it up.
So that's what Ox languages are for. And so one of the features that the future fanatics might be obsessed with is like simplicity or something like that. So I added simplicity simps in there. I didn't add
Simplicity simps. Sorry, I'm just thinking of language simp because I believe language simp is actually a fan of Toki Pona. In fact, I know he's a fan of Toki Pona. Why am I saying I think? I should show you guys all a book I received recently. Okay, so here it is. So this is actually a book that was produced by Sonia Lang, who is the creator of Toki Pona. As you can see, it is quite a beautiful book. And what you will notice if we... Yes, that is Hassan Piker. Okay, so what you will notice is if we go through this book, basically there is a whole heap of supporters of Toki Pona, supporters of Esperanto in here, and the whole idea behind this book and this movement that she's creating is basically to reduce infighting between different constructed languages. Yes, apparently that is something that happens. But what I did want to show you was language simp. So language simp is in here, and now you'll probably get why he's always battling against Esperanto, okay? So here he is. There he is, sexy man. Okay, so basically we've got... there's some text right here. So it says, and I'll just translate for you guys, okay? Sonia forte pledis che mi cesu paroli per I malsano in Esperantujo ca in nur montro al mondo la realajo in tiel che la Esperantolaro povu pacience pli bonigi ca lernu solvi sian problemojn. So Sonia requested, you know, she pleaded with me to stop speaking about the sicknesses within the Esperanto community and show the realities as those are, and you know, to help patiently improve and solve problems and stuff like that. But then it says right down at the bottom, mi persone credas ke Toki Pona estas ege pli bona plan lingvo ĉiu rilata kaj multe rilata. So he believes that Toki Pona is a much better planned language in every relation. So now you can see where his biases towards Esperanto come from. It's just because he belongs to the enemy camp. But see, I'm a smart person. Be a smart cookie. You join all groups, and then whichever one wins, you can just go, I'm with them. I'm with them. See, that's what I'm doing with Chinese guys. So if the Americans end up ruling the world and taking over, I'm like, well, I got English, I'm good. But if the Chinese take over, I'll just be like, what you should ren? What should ren? Because, you know, I've already studied the very specific vocabulary that I need in order to survive in that situation. So if I ever hear Zhangzhu, that means halt, I'll be like, you know, type of thing. And then if I hear Feng Sao Wu Ji, put down your weapons, then again, if I'm carrying a weapon, we're in a difficult situation right now. Yeah. Oh, God, I've watched too many war video games and stuff. I don't even know what this says in Toki Pona. Can someone translate for me? And I might do a more thorough investigation of that book in a video if you guys are truly interested. But I have a very diverse array of viewers here, so I'm not too sure about that.
I don't really know. It's just kind of like alliteration. But that's just like somebody who's really into a simple grammar. So like, especially people who like Oxlangs are into that simplicity. So like no verb tenses or anything. So I kind of have that as part of something that a language learner might be into. So if you're studying Chinese and they don't have verb tenses, you might be like, oh, that's cool. So like no verb tenses. So you do be into that feature. And
I so hate whenever someone says, oh, Chinese grammar is easy because it's got no verb tenses. Okay. Yes, it doesn't have verb tenses. That does not mean that it doesn't talk about time. And the complexity with Chinese comes through the fact that it uses aspect markers. And also the fact that you gotta change how you think substantially at different times in order to express the time that you're talking about. So it's not just like, oh, suddenly I don't have to think about future, past, and present tense anymore. No, it's not like that. You gotta change how you think.
And then, but you also might be into that feature for an Oxlang, and then, or like Toki Pona or something like that. So again, I love Toki Pona. I love lots of conlangs. I don't necessarily believe that they're like the best language though. So, you know, if you're into these languages, this is like no shame or hate on anybody. This is just.
Yeah, I'm basically the same. So I find created languages to be a art form worthy of, protection and appreciation. And also, especially with Esperanto, they are historically pretty important. They have a massive amount of culture that's developed behind them. So that is something that I feel like should also be protected and looked forward to. And they also show what the human race is capable of doing in one way. We were able to basically, well, at least some of us, way at the beginning of the creation of Esperanto, were able to go out and create a new language, a new way of thinking from scratch, and then people actually learnt that and passed it on to their kids. So it's like pushing what humans have done, in a way, just with language.
It's like, if you happen to believe that it's the best language, then this video involves you. And I have auxlangs intersecting with the lucky ducks from before.
Wow, I have never seen that for the English flag before. That is kind of sick in some ways. How they've mixed the American and like the British flags together. Yeah, that is kind of sick.
Because some people kind of view English or just other lingua francas as being inherently auxlangs almost, like they're constructed in a way. So some people believe that English is a Creole. That's like a theory. And I'm not saying necessarily if you believe that, then you believe that English is the best language, but that might be one of your justifications if you...
I remember! Cherokee! Cherokee was the other language. I'm so sorry. It just randomly popped into my head. It was fucking Cherokee. How did I forget that? God.
Do believe that English is the best language or something, is that it's a Creole. It's a constructed language that's kind of evolved naturally over time to become more and more useful. So it's kind of like that survival of the fittest thing before. Another feature people might like is logic or just like consistent grammar. So that's the loglang lovers part up here. So this might be like Lojban or something like that, or maybe like Ithkuil if you're studying that. But that's even farther up really. So this is the loglang and Ithkuil thing is all in this Englangs or Englang. I don't know how people pronounce that, but languages that are engineered to be better than normal languages, not just to be easy to learn, but to be like to have some sort of like mechanical improvement almost. And
then you've got Ithkuil, a language designed to basically be brainfuck. It's not in the high effort region. It's in the impossible to obtain region.
The scale of that is like how invested you are. So maybe you're just interested in it, you think it's the best, loglang good kind of thing, or you go up and you're learning it and you're actually studying it. And then obviously at the very top, highest effort, you're putting a lot of time into this, and also you're like doing it in this kind of altruistic way. You're creating a Englang. So this must be something like John Quixote, the creator of Ithkuil, if he believed that Ithkuil is the best language. Anyway, that about covers this map. I'm sure there's ways to improve it, so let me know if you have any ideas. I already pointed out some issues with it, with the sections that should be overlapping but aren't. But yeah, in general, just think it might be a useful way to talk about it. If you have improvements for any of these terms as well, I know some of them aren't maybe the best. Also, I didn't really explain before, auxlangs are like auxiliary languages, so it's like a language designed for international communication or something, so like Esperanto is an auxlang. Hence why they value simplicity or learnability. Anyway.
Okay, so yeah, pretty cool video. I like the random discussion that this video created. I am actually curious, are there actually any language fascists that you guys know about? Like, people who actually believe that their language is the best and will kill you or fight you over that. I'm guessing they must exist. And I think without getting into like politics and stuff, I think like to a degree this happens during war specifically, especially when you have war between two countries that have similar languages. They will, in some degrees, push towards their language, saying that our language is the better one of these two, and this other one's just a corrupted version of our own. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that. Obviously, I don't want to start any real fights about that in the comments section. Just curious. And what do you guys think about his graph versus my graph? And what languages are you learning? Where would you put them on either graph? And I'll see you all in the next video. And if you're not there, I will find you and dominate you. Because I am a language fascist. And I will make you cry daddy.